All right, perfect. So let's see. We'll start out with kind of give us a little bit of the background and maybe some of the work you put into this new solo album, Swing Your Lanterns.
Well, it's the kind of something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, you know. There were some songs I had around for a while that seemed to that they would fit on the album, so I re-recorded those. And we did it all on tape because I'm lucky enough to have a tape machine, and it just sounds amazing and great, you know.
Sure.
And it, the bulk of the recording happened during the pandemic, just as it was starting. So it was really hard to get people in,
Right.
um, you know, to to even to go anywhere, much less be in a room, with other people. And it's almost a political record in a way. I mean, it kind of just addresses a lot of socio-political things, that are happening now and that have happened and that have happened repeatedly, actually. Especially there's a song called "I'm Not a Drone Alone," that it just I wrote it. I mean, just thinking back to how many decades that we've been warned about this climate situation that's happening now.
Right.
I mean, decades, you know.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid in school and hearing about, the greenhouse effect, et cetera.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, it's just it's that's what I've gathered together at the time with the help of my friends playing on it.
Sure. Now, being that, it was recorded during the pandemic, is that sort of what led to maybe the need of you recorded a lot, most of the instruments yourself, or was that something you sort of had planned out ahead of time?
That's something I do, because when I record a song, I I I I want the song to have as much as it needs to transmit the idea. So if, like, for instance, some things I play bass on because I wanted a very simple bass part. I didn't want someone coming, and I tried other people coming in, and one guy
Sure.
especially was telling me how much I should be paying him while he was playing all the wrong parts. But I mean, if I can play it, I will. And I mean, and I think I'm fairly good at editing myself most of the time, so that if there's something I can't play, I don't hesitate to call somebody in and go, "Here's the song. See what you can do with it." You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, do you have sort of a standard process for when you're writing, or are you open to, all different ways, be it maybe the music comes first or the lyrics come first or
Usually, it's the music that comes first, or some kind of impetus, or something I see on the street.
okay.
I mean that can trigger something like this. I mean, the song I wrote for one of the songs I wrote for Blank Generation, "Liars Beware," was just about the guitar riff was just being in New York City with all the cacophony and all the craziness at the time, and I
Right.
turned it into a riff. But usually, it's the music that comes first, or I draw from movies, from books. It's something, that's how my brain kind of works. It's like if I am inspired by something, it turns into sound if I'm lucky, sometimes,
Okay. Yeah. So now these are you being that again, you said you had worked on it during the COVID lockdown and everything. Were these all sort of songs that came up during that initial lockdown, or you had started some, prior to, and the timing just sort of all fit together there?
It was the latter, actually. It was the latter because, I mean, a couple of them at least I'd recorded with a band back in maybe 2018 or something like that, just before the whole thing happened. But I mean, and a lot of the songs were written before that. And I mean, and, so sometimes they fall into the climate that we're in now. I mean, just by coincidence. I mean, or maybe it's the fact that things keep happening, like I said, repeatedly. So
Yeah.
it's timeless.
Right, right. Now you had mentioned there sort of being able to self-edit yourself. Being that you also produced the record and were the main musician on there. How do you sort of balance those roles? Because I know I've talked to other performers that have done the same thing, and it's almost like when do finding that stopping point of when is enough enough, sort of.
Well, it's kind of like the old adage. I mean, how many people does it take to paint a painting? You know that, right? One to paint it and one to take it away.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like that, especially if you have your own studio. I mean, when I was making my last record, The Naked Flame, I looked at this one file and it was like, mix 37 or something. And that's when I realized, no, this is, you got to stop yourself. But
Right.
I mean, I'm a big fan of recording and music. And there's this intrinsic thing that kind of sparks me when I hear a song that I love. Recently, I've been listening to Lucinda Williams' Dirt Wheels on a Gravel Road. My God, geez. I mean, it's just like, part of that album is just like, it's beyond splendorous. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
So I always look for that thing. So if I record something, I'll always wait until the next day or something like that, and go back and listen to it. And either it moves me or it doesn't. And it's usually very obvious.
Okay. Yeah. No. So, you're one of I'm sure there's still a few studios out here that are out there that are recording to tape and such. And, I know that was a big part of recording this. You know, Tell us a little bit about that decision as opposed to go to the digital, because again, there is a certain price involved. It's more pricey to do it that way, and a little bit harder to work with. What's sort of your take on that?
Well, first of all, what I generally do with myself and with bands that want to record a tape is we record as much as we can on tape, and we're locked to the computer. And if we run out of tracks, the 24 tracks, then we'll dump them in. But the actual essence of the recording is analog. And I realized this when I got my last tape machine. I've had others. And we got a bunch of tapes from the guy who sold it to us. And I was listening to it going, why does this sound so warm?
Yeah.
What is it? What exactly is it? And I was listening to the drum overheads and I realized what it is, at least in my theory. It's the air. Okay? The air is not quantized into ones and zeros.
Right.
If you listen to a digital recording, regardless of what kind of mic you're using, it's all quantized into ones and zeros. The air is just smooth and gets recorded that way. I mean, so it's in essence, it's kind of not what's there, it's what's not there that makes it sound so great.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I just prefer to do it that way. Then, as I said, we get it into Pro Tools and we mix it there because, I mean, I have to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't have 35 people that go all over the board and push buttons and stuff.
Yeah, you're not cutting and taping stuff back together and
No, I used to, but not anymore. No.
yeah. So it sort of comes with a level of comfortability then to start in that maybe the traditional process that you have been recording on, and then easing into those digital elements then.
Yeah, well, see, I for a while I wrote for Oprah's TV network. I wrote for commercials and stuff like that, and it was all digital. And one of the producers told me when I was making this orchestral piece, he said, Ivan, no one's hearing all this crap you have down at the low end, okay? On their TVs or computer. Don't even bother with low baritone horns and stuff like that. And so I did that for a while, and I got into MIDI for a while. It enabled me to hand sketches to bands and pretty much write everything myself and say, here it is. But after a while, my ears just got fatigued. I got tired of that 5K,
Right.
And I started to work with tube stuff again, and then with analog, and I went, I much prefer this if I can,
Okay. Yeah. So you did bring up the Naked Flame track, and I know it was part of the Shameless soundtrack. Was that something that you were involved with getting that song on the soundtrack, or did they come to you and say, hey, what do you think about putting this on there?
The president of the record company, Abe Bradshaw, lives out in LA, and he had an end to get to play songs like that. If I had any kind of power over that, I would have many more songs
Right.
many
Yeah.
more shows, because it's pretty lucrative actually. But no, I mean, no, the record company did that, and then the producer of the show chose it.
Yeah. No, that was actually going to be my question. Did you have somebody that was sort of shopping songs around for you, or was that something you had never sort of gone down that path before? So
I wouldn't even know how to do it. I mean, as a writer, what do you go to somebody's office and say, hey, here's my songs, it'd be great for your show?
yeah.
I just don't know. I
Yeah,
guess
I think there's certain like PR people that they only work with licensing songs.
yeah, well, yeah, that's what
Yeah.
part of what he did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So, sort of, I know you're working with different people. You've got other projects going on, TV stuff. What other projects are you working on now that you want to sort of bring to light and kind of share with us?
I'm working with a band called The Side Effects that are pretty good. Um, I've mainly just been doing interviews lately, to be honest. Yeah, I'm that, and I'm working on my next record. Also working on a instrumental record called Speechless that I'm trying to put together.
Good.
Yeah, but it's been kind of quiet here at the studio. I think that band I mentioned, they've been coming in a lot, so they've taken up whatever time I have to devote to that kind of thing.
Mhm. Yeah, how do you go about, again, making that balance of making time for your own stuff and then working with people who are, bringing stuff to you to record for them?
It's just scheduling, I mean, if, for instance, I mean, now I'm promoting the record, and I'm looking for booking agents. So I'm getting ready to go on tour, so I'm not taking that much on right now. I mean, and I only know this from experience, is that you try to do too many things, and it all ends up garbage. So
Right.
I'm just trying to just trying to focus. I mean, my main thing about bringing in the people in the studio is, we get offers, or people want to come in. And there's two things. I have to like the music, because I'm sitting there, for hours with it. It has to be
Sure.
something compelling. And there's no attitude. Okay. If you come in with attitude, you can just like go. Yeah. I don't need it. I mean, no one else needs it. And I mean, and it's counterproductive. So yeah, those are the only two things.
Cool. So, yeah, that I was going to mention about, possibility of live shows and stuff. Are you currently putting a band together, or just kind of in the pre-planning stages, I should say? Get tongue tied there.
I have a great local band, and we've been doing shows since for about a year now. We did City Winery, we did the Hoboken Music and Arts Festival, we did some museum show, we did a small gig out in TVI out in Queens. We've been
Okay.
playing about monthly or ish for about a year, just to get ready for this. And they're
Nice.
called the Magnificent Six. You know, because I came up with the name because they're also talented. Because it's hard to play my music live, which is why there's six people doing it. It's like there's organ, there's piano, sometimes there's percussion, and there's great people in the band. I mean, there's James Mastro, who plays with Ian Hunter. There's Jared Michael Nicholson, who plays with Burnt Sugar. There's oh god, what's Steve's last name? There's Steve that played drums on Watching the Detective.
Cool.
I can't remember Steve's last name right now. I'm sorry, but yeah, Steve Goddick. Something. But anyway, yeah. So there's great musicians, and that's why I call them the Magnificent Six. It's always my goal in a band, if it's my band, to be the worst musician there. That way, it goes up to another level, and you learn, and you're not pulling anybody, you're not dragging anybody, they're
Right.
dragging you.
Yeah. Yeah. So is it going to be more East Coast based, or are you looking to take it, wherever?
Um, that's a good question, because I mean, taking six people on the road, I don't know if I can do that right now. So
Yeah.
we actually did one gig as the Magnificent Four with the stripped down part of the band, and I'm working that out right now. And I'll be in Chicago February 22nd at Space, and there I'm using a local band. And it's actually one of the guys that plays on the record, my friend Nicholas Tremolis, and Derek Brand, who plays bass. He's also going to be in the Chicago band as well.
All
So
right.
I don't know if they'll be the Magnificent West. I don't know what's going to happen with that. But yeah, they're all good musicians, and I trust them. Ideally, I would like to take a band and just go out, and globally. I love touring. I still love touring, and of course, be on an opening slot in a tour or something like that.
Sure.
That would
So,
be ideal.
being that you have such a rich history in, the New York music scene, what do you think's been the biggest change for you, kind of personally, from maybe when you started in the early 70s to where you're at now?
Well, I found as a musician, I mean, of course, I mean, there was a period when I rented myself out, so to speak, as a guitarist to Shriekback and different bands like that.
Mhm.
Um, but I found to be a musician, you have to do and learn many dances. And then as time passes on, and as New York morphs into whatever it's becoming, you need to learn even more dances. You just have to be able to do more than one thing. Thus, having a studio, et cetera, et cetera. Um, the kids come up to me, like the 20-year-olds, and they go, "Well, God, how did you guys do it? Like, how did you make it happen?" I said,
Right.
dude, like rents were $125 a month.
Yeah,
And $125 was, money at the time, but it's still $125. It's not 4 grand. I have
right,
to ask you, how do you do it? It's like, I don't know how they do it. It's impossible. I mean, it's the same with the venues, because a lot of the venues, most, I would, if I had to put a percentage, I'd say 90, have moved out to Brooklyn and Queens.
right.
Hard pressed to find a venue in Manhattan anymore because nobody can afford to be there, or else they get complaints from the people in the high rise across the street.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's I just can't even, being way upstate in New York, it's still the same stuff. Stuff is just so expensive for club owners and practice spaces, and you run into all that same stuff. Yeah, so
Where are you?
gone are those days of affordability.
Yeah, that's for sure. Where are you?
I'm in Ithaca.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yep. So it's about probably 4.5 from the city, but
I've been to Ithaca. It's like
yeah, yep.
and all that. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So just to wrap up then, Ivan, best social medias or maybe official website where you're updating things and our readers can keep up to date with all you have going on.
Well, there's the Pravda website, pravdarecords.com. I'm always on Instagram because I'm told that that's where you have to be. And I mean, then when I do that, then everybody's on Facebook. So I'm between the two. My website, ivanjulian.com, is being built as we speak right
Awesome.
now by
Okay.
someone, because before it looked like an old ghost town with like tumbleweeds, so I had to sort it out.
Awesome. Well, cool, Ivan. I think I've got everything, man. Again, a great pleasure talking with you. We'll get this link up here pretty soon, and we'll get the word out about the new album, and hopefully we'll be able to catch you if you come this way on tour.
Great. Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you.
All right, man. Take care. All right.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
you too. Bye.
Bye.